Hello and welcome to a brief demo of CodeCollaborator, a popular and award-winning tool for doing peer code review. It can also be used, however, for reviewing more than just plain text source files. You can review schematics, drawings, VHDL code, XML, PDFs, any type of Microsoft Office document, so Word, PowerPoint, Visio, etc. This particular demo will show reviewing a PDF file that contains a schematic, followed by a Word document, and then a JPEG image file. As just one example of what this capability provides, let's say that a hardware engineer and a firmware engineer are collaborating on a project. With CodeCollaborator, they can include schematics in their reviews of the source code for that project. After I click the button to actually begin this review, I can click the link here for this PDF file, and the CodeCollaborator file display window will open. This is similar to what you would see if CodeCollaborator were displaying a plain text source file, but with some important differences. For example, since PDF files are typically scalable, you'll notice there is a zoom control at the bottom of this window. So I'll zoom out here quickly to get a bigger picture, and then I'll zoom in a bit and scroll to get a close-up look at a particular part of the diagram. And now I'm going to scroll back out to the default view. The features provided for doing a review are basically the same with a PDF file as they would be with a plain text source file. The chat pane over there on the left is for putting in comments and defects. A key difference, however, is that since PDF files don't have line numbers in the same way that plain text source files do, CodeCollaborator tracks the location of your comment or defect with a coordinate system. All I have to do is click directly on the document and then start typing in my comment or defect. CodeCollaborator uses a push pin to display exactly where that comment or defect applies so that anyone else reviewing this can see the exact spot on the page to which I was referring. There is another option, however, for tracking comments and defects instead of using the coordinate system. You can type in your own custom label right here in the chat pane. So if I want to put in a defect or a comment that is associated with, for example, a general concept instead of a specific spot on the document, I can do that easily. We realize that not all of the documents that users would like to review with CodeCollaborator are available as PDF files. So to support even more types of documents, CodeCollaborator provides a Windows printer driver. I'll switch over to Microsoft Word to demonstrate. Please note, however, that this technique will work with any Windows application that can print output, so you are not limited to just Word documents. The CodeCollaborator Windows printer driver is installed, so when I choose to print this document, I see an entry for Print to Review in my list of printers. I select Print to Review so that CodeCollaborator will let me add the printed output of this document to a review. A window is displayed so that I can tell CodeCollaborator whether to create a new review or add this document to an existing review. I'm going to add this to the review I created a moment ago. Next, I need to specify the name to associate with the printed output for this document inside CodeCollaborator. Switching back over to my browser, I can see the document is now listed in the review. And as usual, clicking the link opens a window that displays the file. I'll use the zoom control like I did on that PDF file to get a little bit bigger view of what the document looks like. And I can use this page control to move between the different pages in this document. Tracking comments and defects works the same as what I just displayed in the review of that PDF file. You can either type in your own label for tracking or click in the document and use the XY coordinate system. I'll do that here, and this time I'll put in a defect instead of a comment. There is one more type of file that CodeCollaborator supports: image files. If you have a PNG or a GIF or a JPEG file, you can add it directly to a CodeCollaborator review. I already have two versions of a JPEG file in this review. If I click the link, The file display window opens, and since I have two versions, they are displayed side by side. I'm going to move some things around here to make this a little easier to see. I'm going to collapse the chat pane and then change the splitter window here to give each version of the file equal space. And then when I zoom out, you can see that these images are two different photos of the same star taken by the Hubble Space Telescope several years apart. If I wanted to put in a comment or defect, it would work the same as what I showed a moment ago. Either put in a custom label of my own choosing or use the XY coordinate system. And you can see I'm doing a side-by-side comparison here, which is a perfectly useful way of looking at two images. With image files, however, CodeCollaborator provides an additional feature that you can only use with the over-under instead of the side-by-side comparison. With image files in over-under mode, what's happened is CodeCollaborator has taken the image that was on the right-hand side and placed it on top of the image that was on the left. And also, it has made the image that was on the right, the one that's now on top, partially transparent so that you can see through part way to the image underneath it. Clicking the button to show just the image on the left makes the top or right image completely transparent. That button, of course, toggles so that you can go back and forth. The coolest part, though, is that there's also a slider control so that you can gradually change the transparency of the top image to control exactly what it is that you see. That concludes this brief demo of how you can use CodeCollaborator to review a whole lot more than just plain text source files. Thanks for listening.